This episode of Distraction is sponsored by Landmark College. With bachelor's and associate programs, bridge semesters, and summer programs for students who learn differently. Learn more at lcdistraction.org. Landmark College. Learn your way. Succeed uniquely. Hi there, this is Dr. Ned Hallowell with a live Facebook Q&A episode for you. We just did a live Facebook event where I was asked a ton of great questions, so I wanted to share it with you. All right, let's go to the live Q&A audio now.
Let's jump right in. So we have a question from Daniela that says, any advice on how to bring more awareness to schools on ADHD and how they can become more informed?
First thing to do is stop chewing.
This is a little awkward.
Yeah, by all means. Education. Obviously, I've written a number of books. You can share books with them. You should bring in speakers if you possibly can. Books, bring in lectures, have conferences at the school. The more you can talk up the topic, there's a wonderful website called understood.org that has a tremendous amount of free information. Really, really fantastic website. All free, extremely well-maintained, very authoritative information. All of that is terrific.
Amber has a question for you, Dr. Hallowell. It's the first one on this page right here. If you just want to read it first and then get to it.
My 9-year-old was diagnosed with combined type ADHD. What we struggle with most is getting him to transition from one thing to the next. He is aware of the issue and often says he can't help it. We've tried using timers, reminders, waiting outside of the house as a visual cue, making a race out of it between him and his brother, rewards, and more. The last one has only been slightly helpful. We often get angry with him, and it's not a nice feeling to get angry at your kid every day. Do you have any suggestions to help us and help our son transition better from one thing to the next? Well, first of all, does he take medication? I mean, I hate to recommend the obvious, but when medication works, it really does work, and that would certainly help with this particular issue. Medication is controversial, and it shouldn't be controversial. When it works and it's used properly, and it works about 80% of the time, it helps a great deal. So that's right at the top of the list in terms of what you could and should try. Now, if for some reason you don't want to use medication, or if you've tried it and it has failed, then you fall back upon the non-medication interventions, and you have to anticipate the transition, give him warnings, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, and then you make the transition. And you deal with it, just as you've been dealing with it.
Yes, so she just commented and said that he's on Vyvanse 30 milligrams.
Okay, then if you're not getting the desired result, then you want to increase the medication. So the thing with meds is people are often under-medicated. You want to increase the meds until you get either the desired result or side effects. So 30 milligrams is still a relatively low dose, so you want to increase it until you get target symptom relief, or side effects.
Okay, Amber, I hope that answered your question. Let's go to...
Andy?
Yeah, Andy has a question.
Andy says, I'm on a full 70 milligram Vyvanse, which has worked incredibly well, plus an SSRI for anxiety. However, I still feel like I get into afternoon slumps. I've tried instant-release booster meds, but they make me depressed and irritable. Outside of those, do you have any recommendations to help with afternoon dips and being able to continue going strong for the rest of the day? Well, what you're describing, Andy, is what happens when the Vyvanse wears off and these afternoon dips. And you said you've tried instant-release booster meds. You probably haven't hit on the right one. Now, what I'd suggest is if you've tried, say, 20 milligrams of Ritalin, you try 20 milligrams of Adderall, or 30 milligrams. So try either Adderall or Ritalin. Now, if none of those work, then you're going to be working with the non-medication interventions, and those would be right at the top of the list, physical exercise. If you work out when you feel that dip, the physical exercise should give you the boost. And you could combine the physical exercise with coffee. You could combine the physical exercise after you finished with meditation. You could combine the physical exercise following the exercise with some activity you really like. So there are ways of influencing your pharmacology other than pharmacology. But the easiest way would be to find a short-acting, immediate-release medication to take, what I call in kids the homework pill, to take when your Vyvanse is wearing off.
Okay, just a reminder to some other people that if you have any questions and you're tuning in right now, please just leave a comment right under the live video so we can answer them for you, because that's why we're live. So we have a couple more questions, though. We can go to the next one from Josh.
Josh, do you have any thoughts about sluggish cognitive tempo, or what Dr. Barkley calls concentration deficit disorder? Well, actually, he calls it sluggish cognitive tempo because he coined the term. I've been diagnosed with ADHD, but sluggish cognitive tempo seems like it might be a closer fit. Is this a separate condition, and what are the treatment options? Well, sluggish cognitive tempo is Russ Barkley's term, and it's essentially, from what I can gather, it's basically inattentive ADHD. So it's ADHD without hyperactivity, or if he's also calling it concentration deficit disorder. Then the treatment is the same as for ADHD. It would be a combination of medication and coaching with the usual non-medication, exercise, meditation, nutrition, find the right job, marry the right person, the usual list of interventions for ADHD. Medication, if you're fortunate enough for it to work, is the most immediate intervention that we've got, and when it works great. But the other coaching and exercise and find the right job, marry the right person are all really good as well.
Okay. So now we have two more pre-submitted questions. Again, guys, if you want to submit your question, please leave a comment below. Also, we have Daniela saying, my son and I met you at your center in New York City a few years ago. Love your books.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Deandre, or Deandra, or...
That's what you think.
Deandra, or Dandra, or Deandra?
TBD.
Deandra. I love names. Deandra asks, I am a 40-year-old woman, and current over-focused obsession is boxing. Oh, cool. Having ADHD, my coach has expressed his frustrations with coaching me. He was blunt but nice. I still have that hurt little girl in there that struggles with accepting she learns differently than others and needs to work even harder. Any suggestions, adults with ADHD trying to accomplish sport physical goals and working with coaches? Well, I think you should just punch out your coach. No, I'm just kidding. We all have that little girl in there that struggles with accepting that we're different. And, you know, another one of my favorite mantras is never worry alone. Talk to your coach about it. Now, I don't know whether you're talking about your boxing coach or your ADHD coach, but whatever the source, talk about it. And say, you know, I have trouble accepting this, get the reassurance you need, and move on. You wouldn't be boxing if you weren't kind of tenacious as well, if you weren't pretty spunky. So you have the spunky side of you and the vulnerable side of you, and both need to be identified and developed. Don't let the vulnerable side rule the day. Don't start using avoidance as a coping style. Just let the vulnerable side get reassurance and let the spunky side rule the day. You know, these sport physical goals are really good, and they, you know, you want to continue to pursue them. Should I go to Anthony?
No, we have
a few, so we'll hold off on Anthony.
Okay.
We just have, November asks, "Hi, Dr. Hallowell."
Her name is November?
Yeah, November Rain.
November Rain is her name?
Is that your name or is that your username?
Facebook name.
Facebook name. To be determined.
November Rain.
Simple question. What is the best medicine for adult ADD?
Do we have December snow?
December.
That's her daughter.
October fog? October leaves, maybe.
Just the question is, what is the best medicine for adult ADD?
The best medicine for adult ADD is the one that works. And you can't predict that in advance. Sometimes no medication will work, about 20% of the time. In my case, no medication works. My medication is coffee. So that's the one that works for me. But 80% of the time, one or another of the prescription medications will work. There are basically two molecules. There's methylphenidate and there's amphetamine. Methylphenidate is Ritalin, Focalin, Concerta, Metadate, Raytronopatch. Those are all. What are you looking for, Sarah?
I'm looking at our audio engineer, that's
okay.
all. Sorry. I'm listening. I'm multitasking.
Those are all methylphenidate. I was talking to our producer, Sarah, because I have to do what she tells me to. And then amphetamine is Adderall, Adderall XR, Vyvanse, Medeas. Those are all amphetamine. And then there's the other one sort of on the knocking on the door, modafinil, which is Provigil. You can try any one of those. You cannot tell in advance which one will work, but there's an 80% chance that if you find the right dose of the right medication, you will get a combination that works.
And that is her username.
Yes, that's the username. Also, I don't know why we're assuming it's a her. It very well could be a he.
Sure.
It just seems more likely to be a she.
Yeah, November sounds like
I just don't think a man...
We don't judge.
A man would be August, right?
No.
August Rush, that's a
I
great...
knew. I went to college with a guy named August.
No, August. August. That's right.
Yes.
That's,
August Rush is a great movie, by the way.
No, but there's a famous columnist or literary man named August.
Victoria says, "I'd love to hear you speak."
August.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hang 1 second.
I love to hear you speak too.
Maria wants to know, what's the name of your books, which is a perfect segue.
Well, my new book, which I would love for you to go pre-order on Amazon, is called
There.
Because I Come from a Crazy Family, The Making of a Psychiatrist. And it's a memoir. You can pre-order it now on Amazon or other online booksellers. And it's as I say, it's a memoir. It's the story of my childhood and my early training in psychiatry. I've written 19 other books. The ones about ADD are Driven to Distraction, Answers to Distraction, Delivered from Distraction, Super Parenting for ADD, Driven to Distraction at Work, Married to Distraction. You catch a theme in this. And then I wrote a book about worry. I wrote a book about raising children called The Childhood Roots of Adult Happiness. In many ways, that's my favorite book because it features my 3 children. And I got the most nasty rejection letter for that. There was an editor who didn't like me for some reason, and he wrote me a nasty rejection letter. And I'm pleased to say that book went on to do very, very well. That editor is still alive and kicking, and I'm sure still writing nasty rejection letters. I'd like to pause the conversation here to talk for a moment about our wonderful sponsor, Landmark College. If you're a student who learns differently, or if you know a student who learns differently, you should also know about our sponsor, Landmark College in Putney, Vermont. Landmark is unique and really great for students who learn differently. It's a beautiful campus up in Putney, Vermont. And if you're interested, you should go up there and take a tour. They'll show you the place. I've been there myself. It's really quite beautiful. But aside from the beauty of the site, you're not really going there to experience the beauty, although it is that. The curriculum and the people they have teaching there are, you just won't find them anywhere else or almost anywhere else. It's a marvelously gifted group of instructors teaching kids the elements of executive function, of decoding, of planning, of the kinds of skills that they need to develop their talents to become the winners and champions they're meant to be. So if you'd like to schedule a tour or get more information, visit lcdistraction.org. All right, now let's get back to the show.
So we have a question now from Victoria. She says, I have ADHD, and we are going to start the process of getting my son diagnosed. Is it better to start the medication process during the school year or during the summer when there's no school?
It really doesn't matter. You can in some ways, it's advantageous to start it during the school year because you can see what impact it's having on his studies. But you can simulate school during the summer. Just do some homework, do some schoolwork. So it doesn't matter. You can start at any time. Starting medication is a lot more benign than most people think it is. It's not surgery, and it's not a major medical intervention. It's simply starting a pill that lasts from 4 to 8 hours, and you assess what it does, and you continue it or you stop it. And it's pretty straightforward. People agonize about it more than they need to. It's a simple, straightforward medical intervention. If it works, you continue it. If it doesn't work or if it causes side effects, you stop it.
Okay, next question is from Chris. He wants to know, what is the best dosage of supplement of omega-3s for children?
People argue about that. You can go ask various experts, and it depends upon how big the child is. Ask your pediatrician. You can Google and get different opinions. I don't know is my honest answer. The only danger in overdosing and taking too big of a dose is it can interfere with clotting, and that can be very dangerous if you way overdose. So talk it over with your pediatrician. And, you probably don't want to go much over 2,000 milligrams. But, again, I don't want to get into numbers because it totally depends on the size of the child, the milligrams per kilogram, and which preparation of omega-3s you're using. So talk it over with your pediatrician.
Okay, Amber, I see your follow-up comment, but I just want to get to some other comments that people have left. But if we have time at the end, I'll try to address that. If not, feel free to just send me another email, Amber, and I'll forward that along to Dr. Hallowell. He's pretty good with answering emails.
And we are always doing Q&A type episodes, so
yeah.
If we don't get to the questions now, we'll answer it at some point.
Yeah, definitely. We do Q&A episodes on our Distraction podcast. If you're new to the podcast, you can hear us on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Stitcher, and on our website, distractionpodcast.com. And then we also we plan to do more of these live Q&As, so where Dr. Hallowell can answer more questions. So, question from Jennifer. How can you tell the difference between ADHD and mood disorder in children? When frequent rages are involved? Can you have both?
Wonderful question. And you certainly can have both. And the answer to that question is you do need to see an expert. It's certainly not something a parent should be deciding. The rage episodes need to be evaluated carefully. And the one rage episode is, you can't just say rage episode. You have to say how long does it last, what is the quality of it, and that really is sort of what separates what we call bipolar disorder from ordinary tantrums. The rage of bipolar disorder is intense, and it can go on for hours and hours and hours and hours, and then you're getting into juvenile bipolar disorder, which is quite different from ADHD. Can you have both in the same child? Yes, you absolutely can have both in the same child. But this is not a determination, certainly, for a parent to make. This is where you want to see a child psychiatrist, probably go to a teaching hospital that has a department of child psychiatry, because not all not even all child psychiatrists are good at making this distinction. Mass General Hospital in Boston is sort of the leader in this field, but certainly plenty of other teaching hospitals are good at it. But the assessment of rage attacks, true rage attacks in children is a very important assessment. It can be caused by many things, from substances to heavy metals to rare genetic syndromes. So you want to be careful that you have an assessment by top-notch specialist, because the treatments will vary significantly depending upon what the diagnosis is.
Okay, so we just want to interject for a second because we have a surprise for Dr. Hallowell that we were going to have him.
Something for you.
Oh my
here.
goodness!
A little gift that we want him to unbox live.
Oh, I don't know about opening a gift from these guys. Could bite me, but
You never know. Take your chances.
what is this going to be? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! A distraction mug. Oh my gosh! My medicine for distraction. Distractionpodcast.com.
You want to hold the mug up?
Yes.
That's
So
our
you can get that
distraction.
on our website.
It's our
Excellent.
distraction mug, and then the other side, if you want to flip it over, it says "My Medicine for Distraction." It's part of our new merchandise line. If you want to get this mug,
Wonderful.
it's at distractionpodcast.com/store. We love it.
Yes.
And Dr. Hallowell's medicine is caffeine, so it kind of
It's true.
It is.
works.
I said that.
It's
yes,
true.
yes. My
It's
medicine for distraction
Yep.
is caffeine.
So that's for you.
It's true. We have mugs. We have shirts with some of Dr. Hallowell's fun quotes on
Thank
them.
you, guys.
Tote bags, other things.
you,
So
guys.
please, if you really want to support the show, we really appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Get some of this fun merch. iPhone cases at distractionpodcast.com/store. Okay, let's get to just this
Maybe
question
one last?
from
Yeah.
From Anthony?
from
Okay.
Anthony, who submitted it in advance.
Anthony asks, I'm currently stuck in a professional position I have little passion for, and I'm significantly underpaid. I'm creative and have a passion for mental health, but I often get sad lately, and some days managing my ADHD symptoms takes up all my mental faculties. When I'm not managing ADHD, I'm managing anxiety and depression. I practice mindfulness, take a few meds, a few supplements. I read and listen to podcasts and videos. But I'm lost, and this career prospect has been hanging over my head for years. Why can't I just set myself on a path to success? I'm capable of so much more than this. Well, Anthony, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, I would say millions, of men and women who are exactly in your situation, certainly millions. And I'm really glad you sent in that question. The answer is you need to work with somebody. You really do need to work with somebody. This is right in the middle of never worry alone. You're not going to be able to fix it pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. You're just not. You've been trying it. You're trying everything you can, meds, meditating. You're languishing. You're trying, you're working, you're listening to help, you're podcasting, you're trying what people try, but you're not progressing. You're underachieving. You need to find some kind of person, whether it's a therapist, a friend, rabbi, a clergy, a trusted relative, a wise man or woman, somebody to catalyze, to galvanize, to instigate the process of change. That doesn't have to be a therapist. We're in the business of trying to do that, so that's a logical place to start, but it doesn't have to be that. It could be a group you join. It could be a new job. It could, but probably not a new job. It could be a basketball team. It could be, but AA has a great phrase: "If nothing changes, nothing changes." Personally, I think you should start with a therapist because they're sort of in the business of doing this. And the best deal in therapy, and they also tend to be the most positive, is a social worker. So I'd go to the rosters of social workers and find a social worker in your area. And if the first one doesn't click with you, try another one. And just sit down with that person and take an inventory of yourself and see, who you are, where you want to be, and what is standing in your way between who you are and where you want to be. And the sky's the limit, Don't just say, well, I'd like to make more money, or, try to think as big as you can. And then work with that person to try to get there. I would not keep fixating on trying to do it alone. So my suggestion is to find a therapist, and I'd suggest a social worker because they tend to be the least expensive and they tend to be the most sort of positively oriented among the mental health professionals. And then make the change. It's absolutely doable.
Okay, everyone, I think we're gonna wrap it up right now. Just want to thank you so much for your participation. Feel free to email us with your questions if Dr. Hallowell didn't get to answer you today at connect@distractionpodcast.com. Be on the lookout for more episodes where Dr. Hallowell answers questions. We answer them all the time on our Distraction podcast. Look out for more. Oh, I'm seeing the sad reactions.
Oh, because it's ending?
Yeah. And also look out for more live Q&As. We plan to do more. Dr. Hallowell loves doing them. And we love doing them too. And also, if you really want to support the show, again, distractionpodcast.com/store, our super cool My Medicine for Distraction mug. And we have a cool case that says, keep this flipped over. You're busy if you don't like being distracted by your phone. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody.
Do you want to say goodbye?
Final thoughts?
Oh, I love you. Come back.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.
So what did you think? How did I do? I'm getting better at Facebook Live. We do these live Q&As from time to time, so be sure to like the Distraction Facebook page so you don't miss the next one. I love interacting with listeners and hearing from you, so we'll definitely be doing more live videos in the future. Okay, well, that's it for me for today. Remember to send your questions and comments to connect@distractionpodcast.com. And thanks so much for listening. Distraction is produced by Collisions, the podcast division of CRN International. Collisions, podcasts for curious people. Our producer is Sarah Gurton, and our audio engineers are Scott Person and Greg Session.